myself, Jade Monkey, were playing the first car beta, not to be confused with the actual console beta. And I guess you should say, what does that mean for you? It is the console beta is obviously coming for us soon, but the vehicle beta is basically the test before they bring it out to live branch. But what's cool is we've actually been able to play this wipe. So we thought we'd show a base tour based off of what we've learned and some mistakes we've made, some big mistakes,
Yeah.
and showing you like maybe some ways to think about cars in the future. Because by the time you guys are watching this, it'll either be in the game or it'll be in staging. And for our console people, it's hopefully soon enough, or it's already out by the time you guys are watching this. I don't know. So yeah, here we go. We're gonna call this roadside base. Yes.
Yeah,
Road.
that's yeah. I would say the road or the curbside base. We
Curbside.
serve
Roadside.
we serve destruction.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll start on the main base here, and we'll kind of just walk around it real quick, and then we'll, after we kind of go through the different spots inside this base, the good, the bad, the ugly, where we've made mistakes and stuff, we'll go over to the other bunker base next door, which has been an assist, which I think is interesting because okay, let me just show the map real quick. Hopefully, watch my back. We're sitting here, but I think with the new cars and stuff, you're gonna see a lot of people taking positions in key funnel points. Obviously, the outpost is a key location, as are monuments. So we figured we'd see a lot of traffic here, and boy, were we right.
Yeah.
So we're trying to position ourselves in such a way where we can hear cars coming and then put down heat on them, and it's definitely working in that regard. So we'll just keep walking around here so you can see what it's like. The back needs some work. One of
Yeah.
the first things we ran into where we didn't know how to fit the car lift inside the base, like how much space it would take up, how to use it, how the cars work. But we're getting a better idea now, but just kind of seeing both the bunker base next to it and I guess the main base? I don't know, the roadside base?
Yeah.
Um
It's a. Let's just put it this way. If you're watching this now, this base was done on the fly, so nothing was planned. This beta was obviously in the staging branch, and they were like, "Here you go. Here's some cars. Figure it out." So the lifts, the cars, everything, we had to figure out space for it. And boy, let me tell you, it was a little difficult because in the beginning, I wasn't even online, and then Jade had to work this out for himself.
and why we were under constant attack, which is awesome.
Mhm.
But I guess we should also say this does pertain. I don't know if we said it. This will pertain to PlayStation 4 and Xbox. We think this might be in the beta. We do know that cars will be in the full release of the game. Obviously, this is all vanilla. This is just a test for it. These aren't mods or anything. This is all standard game, and they're just testing it before it comes out. So we should also throw in that these things are subject to change. Sizes, the car types, everything else that we'll be covering quickly. But this is mostly about the base tour, so just know that whatever your most recent version is, that's going to be the rule set. So there could be some tweaks, but I think overall the sizing is pretty close. So I guess we'll go into the garage area first because that's probably the most exciting. We have two garages. Let's go ahead. I'm going to just show you this one here, and then we're going to walk around to the back and just show you that we made a ramp here just because we don't have vehicle ramps yet. They're specifically designed for it, so we had to basically have these foundations clip into the ground to give us a best case scenario for bringing them in. It's still pretty rocky, but we'll go ahead and go back to the front here just so you can kind of see that that's what this platform's for. We left it wood just because we're cheap.
Yeah, I kind of did that on the fly because we had nothing else, and we couldn't use stairs because it damages the cars heavily. So, word to the wise, you never want to like hit a lot of walls or anything with a car because it does damage it, and once it's done, it's done. So.
All right, so we'll go through the different garage compartments and some of the mistakes we made almost instantly. So here's the first airlock. We thought we could squeeze a lift on the side here. We didn't know how tall to make it initially because I'm telling you, we did this with nickels, dude. Like we had nothing. So we found out that you can do it. You can actually store a vehicle like this, but if you want to eject from it or even put it up on a lift, you might need 1.5. Not might, you will need 1.5 blocks. But we found that we can also jam vehicles that we've stolen in this airlock here, which has been nice. And also, and we'll cover this in a separate video, but if you're up on a vehicle, your action button, and in our case, since we have to play on PC right now, if you hold E, you can push the vehicle. So if somehow you don't have parts in it or it gets stuck, that is a very useful command. So your action button, hold down, and you should be able to see it. But
And
right here again, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, remember, we're storing vehicles in a one high wall area. If you have a lift, it's definitely 1.5. Just to rehash that, it's one high to store it, 1.5 to have like a modify area, you know. So be wary of that when you're building the base, because if you don't have that type of area, and that you remember, you're gonna run into different chassis. So you got the small, medium, large. So however long the frame of the car is, you're gonna have to take that in consideration with the roof height when you put the lift down.
And it can get difficult if you're in this passage here. We found out that when you get out of the car, it'll either throw you in front of it or behind.
Yeah.
And in our case, since this is outside, we've had a couple of hairy situations where people have snuck in. As a matter of fact, we had somebody just sneak in not too long ago, right behind us and jump in the car, which was pretty terrifying. So it was ridiculous.
It blew his brains out, but it's cool.
It was tight. So yeah, so this is why our airlock is a little goofy. Our main core for the base is actually behind the metal and the fortified walls here. We'll go over that in a minute, but I just want to make sure we're going over the garage, because we definitely made a mistake in the beginning, because we thought we could fit a lift in here. We could not. This upper portion was added as our garden area, so we tried it in here. We actually had to put the foundation up like this, so it ended up being a hot mess. So we're like, okay, I guess we'll put a battery here and some horses and collect poop. So that's why it's
Rust
a
in a nutshell.
All right, here's the next section that we added on once we realized how big we needed to make it for cars and lifts. And as it stands now, the lift right now takes 20 units of rust watt minute power to run it. It was 10, it's now 20, and it could change in the future. But here's the larger area. This was actually done in wood first. As a matter of fact, the center core is still wood because we're cheap. But this enabled us to have a doorway. You want to cover my cheeks? Because we're on a live server, so we could very easily get clapped here.
Like,
I just want to show
easy.
this. Yeah. Okay, so that's the entrance. We'd bring it in here, and we can put it on the lift.
And this is the little like staging area or ramp that we take in, that's clipped into the ground to drive the car into the lift, and then park it and modify it. Now the good thing about this portion is, and what I recommend if you do have a big garage like this, is when you put the lift down, you're gonna put it down and you're gonna be like, okay, I want to modify cars, right? Well, what you're gonna do is, I would recommend, if you want to build compact and a little bit more efficient, is having 2 garage doors. One that enters into the lift like a mechanic shop, and then the other one on the other side to basically pull a car in that you're not really using, or that you're trying to like flip-flop modules from. That way you have that efficiency there, because as it stands right now, since this base was built on the fly, and I'm not knocking it by any means, because this is definitely under fire.
Oh, there's issues. There's no doubt.
You would want to build like something like, okay, hey, I want to put my lift here, but I need to take parts off of this car and then put it on this one. Well, what you want to do is build the lift, have a garage door, build another garage door on the other side, so you can have the other vehicles accessible to you, and then be able to modify better, as I would put it. At least that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and you'll see, because we had to do everything on the fly and we didn't know what we were doing, and we're trying to figure it out because there's literally no information on it. The bunker base next to us has an extended garage that we do just that. I like to see our car. It's so funny. Yeah, the cars are awesome. I can't wait for everybody to see them, for us to be playing them on Live Branch, and for us to be playing it on console. Anyway, so real quick, we also can store cars here. We did make it too high again, just because we were unsure about the lift height. We did try to make some containers here for car parts, which is something you really need to think about when you're doing vehicles. And we honestly think that the air vehicles will also have the same type of setup, where you have to grab I'll just go ahead and pop this open again. We'll do a video on this, but if you're looking at the engine, you can see it has a bunch of different parts. So you're going to be upkeeping that a lot. But here's another little gotcha that definitely got us. Look how close this is to the wall. When the wall was destroyed, we had a very difficult time putting anything back up
Mm-hmm.
on this line here. And when the vehicle's in the way, we had a hard time placing anything in front of the door, which has stopped us from making our little quick access.
And if you come to the back, Jade, if you look, just to show them, give an example, the lift literally fits in a one square wide area, and it literally hugs the lines that you would build on for walls. So if you're not placing it right and you're first like getting into Rust and you got a car and you're like, let me place a lift, you definitely want to be like, okay, here, I got my lift, it's one wide. This right here is literally precision placing. Like, they took the time to put it down, but still, building on the left or right of it, if you don't place it right, it'll impede the wall and you won't be able to place anything at all.
Yeah, and the only thing that sticks out here, and this little guy, can be a little weird because this little guy sticks out from the one base platform, and you can still snug cars around the side of it, but it's just something to think about. It's like 1 inch change wide basically, so it becomes this odd long shape. So we had a hard time trying to fit it in, and this is some of our mistakes and how we had to basically just band-aid it up and use it. So, all right, let's move on to our I guess this would be our refinery. We kind of slap this on so we could definitely get more gasoline. And again, we'll go over the vehicles in another video, but efficiency and stuff and upgrading your parts on vehicles can help you get better fuel efficiency. But honestly, I think having this is a must for cars,
Yeah,
or at least for your garage.
it's pertinent. If you can learn the oil refinery while owning cars, that's awesome because we all know as Rust players, like we're gonna go bust open barrels and you're gonna find the low grade fuel barrels where that has the oil in it that you want to burn. So we decided to put it in like its own little square in the back. That way we can burn the fuel, put it in the car, pull it out, and leave.
All right, moving around. Since we were so tight on space and we were under constant attack, I think you'll find the center core pretty goofy. Again, we were doing it under fire. Normally we wouldn't stick our level 3 out here, but we kind of had to make do. The center core, I actually kind of back up so you can see it. The armored portion is where we're going to be heading for the TC first, and then we'll be showing you the upstairs. You are on my goose. Okay, so we're going around to our sleeping bag area, which currently does not have sleeping bags. One of our airlocks that go outside is this star door. Goes out towards the road that leads to the outpost, which is just around the corner. Watch me get shot right here.
Yeah, I was like,
It's
good
happened
luck.
before. Yeah. This is our airlock to our actual area here. You want to put some pants on, you goon?
Don't make me go first. Well, you said
It's,
skinny, so.
I mean, that is skinny. Okay, so this is one of our first. We honestly had like a 1x2, and we had to jam boxes in here. This is one of our storage areas. This is our jump up side here. We'll go here in a minute. It's also our furnaces. You can see we jump up. We upgraded the floor here to stop people from picking because stream snipers are also an issue and also garbage. If you look down here, more boxes. What's funny about this wall here is because it was a panic build, this was actually a single door frame.
Yep.
And we had a door here and we picked out the stone and we made this and replaced it with an actual metal wall. So.
And I have a question. So why would you place a triangle down and then a furnace in the corner? I mean, you know what I mean? Well, I get it's a jump up, but the reason for the jump up, and I'm going to answer my own question, is
Gotcha.
when you're coming into a base and you're raiding it, and I just blew this door off, and this is a quick little tip. When I look at this in the corner, I'm not looking at the ceiling. If I'm looking around and I'm worried about raiding, and I'm like, oh man, where is everything? I'm not looking at this and going, what's up here? This just looks like a corner with furnaces in it. So keep that in mind when you're raiding bases and there's like a triangle shape or a square and something's placed in the corner for a jump up. Because if you look at Jade right now, look at it. Go ahead and just jump up there. If he opens that door, we'll get into the second floor.
Surprise!
Boom. You get to jump on some people, and it's a better build, kind of, you know, hidden aspect that not a lot of people look at when they're raiding a base. To be honest.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
So moving through, we added these garage doors for more protection. We had to knock out a few walls again. This is an outside wall right here, and you saw this as the inner core down our chute garage, and this is where our TC sits. Again, we kind of prefer to have a storage room floor as opposed to carpet. It gives us a lot of space for a lot of things.
Yeah, and you notice that we have like random furnaces in each corner. Each one burns a different mat, so that way when we're moving through the base, when people are picking up loot and stuff, they can efficiently be like, oh, let me check the furnace. Okay, nothing's in here. Let me place whatever mats I got in here and there, and then vice versa for this room. Well, there used to be a furnace in here, but you can basically do anything in this build, you know, furnaces in corners that we can put boxes around it and whatnot. And it's efficient only because you can squeeze boxes so tight in a one square area and be like, okay, well, I got boxes, I can smelt, and then boom, right there through the door, we got the access to the TC, which is super, super efficient.
Yeah, I like triangle placement for the TC, and honestly, because we had all the boxes in place, I armored up everything else. If you look at the top side, it's all armored out, and then any extended floor piece, you've seen us take it up to armored. So if somebody wants to foundation pop it, you gotta bring them coins.
Yep.
So let's go ahead upstairs. We'll try to get through there quicker, showcase some of our stuff, and we'll go over to the bunker side, which has been a nice supporting piece. And like we said before, I honestly think that having multiple bases close to the road is going to be a nice way to get started with vehicles. Okay, so we're jumping up here. I guess you call these loot rooms.
Yeah, this is just loot rooms. Random rooms off to the side that we can like stow and go.
And we like to lock them off. Again, I armored up these floors to prevent top-down raids, and also armored up the top just to give it some more beef. And I also made these floor pieces too. So if you're coming down, you got to go through 1 and 2 pieces, and then 3 to make it down to the first floor. So you got to pay to play, baby.
Yeah, and the
And
bases we build are they're not any type of mediocre base. We tend to touch on all the good parts of the base. That would be like raid. I call it raid successful. Like you want to armor things above your head and below your feet at all times and at all costs whenever you're playing Rust. So
closing this door. These are our loot rooms here, giving us a little bit of protection. We can probably upgrade this little Christmas door thing to something a little better. But since we were so panicked and so pressed for space, because again, looking at the map, when you get close to the road, now the way the ring roads work, you cannot build on the roads or close to the roads. And actually, our build limit was just in this direction. So our space was very limited. And again, since we're getting pressed, so we stuck our bench on the second floor, which is not typical for us. So that's why we kind of have this hallway and we tried to make the most of the space. And again, our TC room is actually, our TC is right here.
yep.
And then that main TC loot room was right here. And that you can tell because we have it armored out. And if we keep going forward here, you'll see this is the hangover to the garage downstairs. This is our garden. It's been working quite well. We're probably going to wire up sprinklers eventually, but we've just been dumping water here. It's been feeding our horses and our troops. Yeah, boy.
And remember, when you build a base, you always want to have a garden because now the way the environment works and placing seeds outside, sometimes your crops don't actually grow now. If you have it in the wrong environment, it won't grow. And if you don't have food, you're most likely going to get clapped only because Rust is heavy PvP oriented. So make sure you have a garden because that food gives you the heals.
So check it out real quick down here, just to give you a quick run by. The batteries that come from the top, or the power that comes down from the top, hits the battery in the garage, and the main line comes up here. I took a branch, and the power required for this area is what I put on the branch. just because it always needs to be on. And then all the rest of the power, and this is to conserve power, this switch here, if you want to hit it, Razor, turns on the lamps inside. So if we're somehow cramped for power, that's why we put it on a switch. But if you look in here, even when this is off, the gardens are always running because plants don't like it when they're in the dark. So this is cheap enough that it's efficient for us to use a couple solar panels. We have 4 now. I think we started with 1, and we have a medium battery. So let's push forward to the rooftop. Beautiful boy. We have our composter here, really good for the horse poop. We got our boom here on the corner, a nice locker for us to go upstairs, although we're carrying a lot of scuba gear at the moment. Creating airlocks here, so when we do get to the, or at the top of the base, creating airlocks here is, I think, super critical because you don't want anybody going deep that's camping your rooftop. We made it. There's our 4 solar panels, 3 here, 1 on top. And again, the wiring comes around the inside lip here. Let me see if I can show you. It's right here. Just one of the combiners. You can see it around the corner.
And the good thing about having a triangle double doors up top is if you go right or left, you kind of get to make the decision which way you go. Because some people, they build like a top exit, and they'll have all this walled off, and they'll only have one double door here, so you know there's only one way out. This way, when people are roof camping you, you can kind of make the decision like, hey, left or right. You can have somebody come outside, scout it, tell you which door to go out, just so you're a little bit safe and you get the advantage on your fellow Zerg that's in town, you know?
Yeah. Well, and here's another strong suit of this base and the one next to us, which is still us, which is the bunker portion. You can see, look at us just like commanding this road. We'll hear them coming. We can get to the roof and slap them out. And Razor had the awesome idea to stick stone barricades in this pit, so when they want to try to jump off the road, they get stone cold stunned, although I think they decayed. We'll also take wrecked vehicles and stick them in the road to create a roadblock so we can just clap people as they come through. It's been very efficient.
Yeah, and if you can see the remnants out here when you build stone barricades. It's got to be within TC range or decays in a day. I had these in a kind of staggered line that led up to like a circle barricade on the edge of the road. So when people would come by in cars, and don't forget, I had 4 of these. Each staggered line was on the opposite side of each other on the opposite side of the road. And it worked so effectively because we could hide behind the circle barricade, pop up when a car comes by, shoot everybody in the car, take the car, park it inside of our garage, and then boom, we got modules and everything for days that we're learning.
That's great. It's been awesome. I mean, obviously you don't have to make the base look exactly like this, but hopefully through our mistakes and some successes, a few this time, you'll be able to get a jump on some of the vehicle stuff that's been coming, or it should be coming for you guys shortly. Pretty much everybody, right? Shortly.
Yeah.
Let's go over and check out the bunker.
Yeah. So this is just the concept. You don't have to build it this way, but this is how I just threw it up real quick. We got one high external wooden gate, and basically what I did in the beginning, long story short, I made it open inward and I put some stone barricades in the front. What happened with this is I was able to make the stone foundations flush with the outer edge of the doors that swung inward. I put barricades here so you could hide behind it. So when cars go by, you could pop up, shoot them, pop down. And then, long story short, we made it to where we had a double door in the front of this with a shop front here. The shop front is obviously multi use for your friends to deliver you loot, and then after they deliver you some loot, you're like, okay, you just gave me a bag of crap.
Horse
They
poop.
can go back out, but this is important to this build because out of the shop front here, you can look down and see if anybody's driving by in a car. If they do, you and your friends can pop this door open with some guns, shoot them up, jump out,
Bam, bam, bam.
get a better point of view on them from left to right when you drop out, and hide behind the stone barricades as you open fire on them. The inside is very minimalistic. When you look at it, it's we got 3 furnaces. This is kind of I call it the crap shack only because we got 3 furnaces so we can burn sulfur for ammo, metal for ammo, stuff like that. We do have an electricity source. First we started with a gas-powered Jenny, then we got a medium battery. We have a switch in here so we can turn on all the lights. The lights are only 3 deep, so we just needed minimal light to be able to ambush people on the side of the road, and that's the purpose of this little bunker. It started off 1 floor, it ended up with 2, but if you look inside here, and if you look inside here, we lined up all our sleeping bags on the floor, nice. That way we can spawn here if we're getting raided, or if there's a car coming. In the back, you do have the TC behind 3 lockers. You can actually fit 4 lockers in here if you didn't have the medium battery. And although it seems like a separate small base, it's kind of useful when you're trying to ambush people on the side of the road. You can basically go in these lockers and they have the unique characteristic to where you can hit swap and it gives you the entire gear set in your hotbar.
That's it. Do it.
Well, I got stuff in my hotbar right now, but hold on. Let me do it real
Just
quick. Hold
swap
on.
and swap it back. Yeah.
There we go.
Hot change.
If you
Bam.
look, I'm geared out of my mind right now. I got, you know, well, they're primitive bows, pipe, whatever, but depending on what you put in here, it's a good configuration to where you can ambush quickly when somebody's like, car's coming. Now, alright, let's get out of here real quick. And this is strictly designed to,
Sorry.
oof.
I got you.
This I built on the fly. I never really build things on the fly. I usually have a plan for it, but I made
Can you let me out? I'm stuck.
yeah, I gotcha. Go ahead.
Okay.
Here, I built a loot room above it, but it's separate from the actual core of the little mini bunker. I'll shut that. When you go up top, I do have to add more doors. I'm gonna add garage doors on these stone frames for now. And then when you look in here, you can add 3 boxes on top. So two big boxes, 1 little, and you replicate that at the bottom. Inside where Jade's at now, you would fit maybe I could fit 6 grills in here with probably about 6 small boxes, and it'd be comfy enough for a bunch of loot. The door here on the side goes directly out to where the front of the gate is. That way, just in case the guys in the car jump out and they start shooting at your guys below with the stone barricades, you can fall off the side and kind of give them a counterattack, which is very useful and has paid off since we've
used it a lot already.
Yeah. And then, so this base is modular, so I like to say that the first bunker is just the core, the second is the loot room, and the third piece to this base is your garage. The great thing about this portion of the base is, like I was telling you guys before, man, I'm kind of creeped out because this is official.
Yeah, yeah, you should be.
The thing is with this core is we made it on the cheap. There's wood, the wood garage. I made 2 garage doors, one that you enter through to get to the lift to put your frame on, to put your modules on, and one for the left to store vehicles. Although it's easy to raid, typically when people get in here they can't access your lift or your modules at all. Unless you have a storage module under your frame, you're okay. We don't have any type of storage in here yet. So, the, you know, kind of thing I wanted to project when I built this was like, no storage. This is just a mechanic shop. So we bring parts from the main base that we were in earlier, fix things up, and we leave. That's it. And it's paid off. Even when people try to raid this, They fall in and they're like, it's just a bunch of frames. I'm
What are we
out.
gonna do?
Mm.
Nothing. Yeah. How do we get it out?
And you can in here too, just remember, as long as the frames aren't in the way, you can lace the bottom foundations with bags. That way you can be like, okay, this has a bunch of sleeping bags, who cares? Because once they fall in from the, the top or they burn into the side, they're going to notice real quick that they can't even get in anything from that portion of the base.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been our experience for the first pass at the vehicles, and building bases and dealing with garages, which is a new mechanic for us. So hopefully you learn from our successes, our failures, and where we're starting off, and maybe where to place your base in the future. Because modular vehicles are coming, and it's definitely going to change the way you play, the way you play Rust for the better. And it's been a ton of fun for us, and I can't wait to see how this plays out in live, and I can't wait to see what other people build. And hopefully this helps you guys out. Be sure to leave a like on the video/stream, depending on when and where you're watching this, as we are doing this not only live on a server but also live on stream because we're crazy. So yeah, we're gonna get back to playing unofficially here. So hopefully that was good. So good.
Later, guys.
I'm gonna go hide, dude.